Next on an all-new episode of The Broadway Show. The 2024 Tony nominations are in, and we've got your recap. Plus, we're celebrating more huge Broadway openings. Also ahead, Ben Platt plays The Palace. The Tony Award winner is here, talking to me about his 3-week concert residency at the newly remodeled Palace Theater.
Somewhere that's green.
In an exclusive musical performance from one of the stars of Little Shop of Horrors, Jinx Monsoon. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show. The road to the Tony starts right now. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Let's get going. Broadway's biggest night, now just weeks away. So let's take a look at a few of the nominees. In the Best Musical category,
This girl is on fire.
Hell's Kitchen. Illinois.
Drink if they've called you an hag. Drink if they've called you a slut or a shrew.
Suffs.
Got great expectations.
The Outsiders.
When I saw you, I felt wild, 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 wild.
Water for Elephants. Up for Best New Play, Jaja's African Hair Braiding. Mary Jane. Mother Play. Prayer for the French Republic. Stereophonic. The Tony Awards are Sunday, June 16th, with returning host Ariana DeBose. For a complete list of nominees, head over to Broadway.com. And speaking of Tony Award winners, Ben Platt is here. On May 28th, Ben starts a 3-week musical residency at the newly remodeled Palace Theater. It's the first show at the iconic Palace since it closed for renovations in 2018, and it is beautiful. As for Ben Platt's concert run, he'll be performing songs from his new album, Honey Mind, as well as tunes from his previous 2 albums. I caught up with Ben at the Palace. To be reopening this and being first on this stage, how does that feel?
It feels like enormous in a really exciting and scary way, but the good kind of scary where, you know, always sort of chasing things that give you that butterfly feeling, and this certainly is a butterfly moment.
A few butterflies, right?
Just a couple.
Just a few. It just really is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
but
they did a great job.
I think so too. As big as it is, it still feels very intimate on the stage.
Totally,
Is
that was exciting to me, especially since it's like a more informal kind of a thing when you're playing your own music and it's like a concert setting more so than like traditional theater. I really wanted to make sure it felt like I could see everybody and feel everybody, and as gorgeous and majestic as it is, you're right, it's like everyone's still pretty close.
I feel like also this brings everything together that you do, and your love and your passion, and and what you've done for so long, and just that people come to you to see. What is that like to be doing this for this 18 performances?
It's so crazy. I mean, it's exactly what you said. I think my dream has always been to just like really find the synergy between the world of songwriting and singing in my own perspective that I love so much, and this Broadway community and Broadway space that is like the greatest privilege ever to be part of this community, and has always been my like #1 priority. And so to get to crossroads that in a way that people don't often get the opportunity to do, it's like I take the opportunity really seriously, and I want to make sure that it's a show where I'm being as transparent as possible, because it's the one time I'll be on a stage like this as myself. So I feel like that's got to be the focus. But I'm really excited for that very particular crossroads on Broadway, because I feel like that is what is the most authentic to how I've lived my life, really.
Let's talk about Honey Mind, because I know I love the story behind the name.
Thanks. So I was with my fiance Noah, who a lot of the record is about. And we were hiking and having like kind of a silly, laughy time of just enjoying being together. And I'm a pretty anxious person. Sometimes I can be a little cerebral and like in my head. And he could sense that I really was very present. And he was like, "What's making you feel so happy? Like, what does it feel like?" And I just started to talk in a very mushy way about like loving him and how safe he makes me feel in our relationship. And I started to think about my mind and envision what the inside of my mind looks like. And I sort of saw all these like jagged corners and the things that make you stressed and anxious and worried and upset, blah, blah, blah. And how those things don't magically go away when you're in love or you feel happiness, and they just get coded in something. Like there's something a little soft and sweet that kind of covers everything and makes it a little easier to take and a little smooths out the edges a little bit. And so I started thinking about honey and that image of just honey kind of coating everything, and that felt like what I was feeling in terms of my relationship. And so I wrote a song that's on the album called Honey Mine, and then when it came time to choose the record, that was the title that really encapsulated the rest of the album for me.
We're going to be talking about Tonys during this time. Of course, do you have advice for Tony nominees first time?
I guess I would say the only advice that I would have given myself, which is the advice I kind of always would give myself, which is just to really try to be present for it and take it in and don't let it pass you by, because if you get on the ride and start to become or lose your thoughtfulness about each thing you're doing, then it all kind of blurs into one moment. This is such a special type of award season because you're doing the work that you've been recognized for while you're being recognized. Awards are wonderful, and I feel so lucky that I've been part of them a couple times, but it doesn't really matter when it's about the fact that you're doing that piece every day. Like, that's the most amazing thing. So it's like, as grating and difficult as it is, it's amazing to constantly have the emotional check-in of like, the real purpose is what's happening every night.
Want to see more of my interview? Head over to Broadway.com for an extended cut. Mary Jane now open on Broadway with an A-list Hollywood star, Rachel McAdams, making her Broadway debut.
It was so lovely, and I can't believe we're here. I can't believe it's opening night. I can't believe that. I still can't believe this is happening. My childhood self is having a heart attack. And it has just been the kindest, warmest, most welcoming, small world, family-oriented kind of place. And it's really beautiful. I see why people do this for their whole lives.
Mother Play is now on Broadway, featuring a talent trifecta: Jim Parsons, Celia Keenan-Bolger, and Jessica Lange.
I mean, I love doing theater. Working with Celia and Jim has been a great, great, great joy.
Oh my God, I can't even say enough. Jessica Lange is an absolute inspiration. If I'm half the woman she is when I am her age, I'm gonna feel really good about myself. As a human, as an actor, Jim and I talk about it sometimes where we're on stage with Jessica Lange.
I've always done family plays. I always think that's the most powerful kind of story to tell. And, you know, I mean, it's a wonderful, really wonderful character to dig into.
You know, I've done a couple of other new works before, but none quite as intimate as this one was. And one of the things that I'm thrilled about that I've never really felt before is like, people have no idea what they're coming to. There is such a almost circus mentality to the way these scenes pop the way they do, and yet they're about these moments in life that they change your trajectory forever. And that is very lifelike, and I think that resonates in the whole theater.
Heading into Tony season, the family drama Appropriate still has Broadway buzzing. It marks Sarah Paulson's Broadway return. But that's not all for this dark comedy. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
Ella, welcome to Broadway.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be on Broadway, actually doing the thing 8 times a week?
Oh my gosh, incredible. Wild, incredible, joyful. I'm still so excited every day.
Appropriate is a huge hit on Broadway. I saw it when it first opened in the fall. And it's such a hit that they kept going. And hey, look, they need a new River. I adore River.
Me too.
I just immediately fell in love with this character. And it's really fun. This is a family drama. And it's fun to be sort of the outsider to the family.
Yeah.
And so it's just always like, you know, when as an audience member, when you see one of these plays, you sort of figure out the dynamic and then you're like, who's that?
Right.
This play is really fun.
Yeah.
Like, as an audience member, it's really fun just how it sort of
Yeah.
reveals itself.
Yeah.
All the characters have secrets and things
Sure
to reveal.
do.
Is it fun to go on that ride every night?
Yeah, it is fun. I mean, some nights it's more fun and I think some nights it's harder, sometimes more heartbreaking. People experiencing this story for the first time, it just like charges you right up even though you know it so well. It's incredible.
I want to talk about the the family legacy of Broadway, because I always love Hollywood stars who came from Broadway, and a lot of people don't realize your dad started on Broadway.
That's
it
true.
It was a short run.
It was indeed, I think, yeah.
But it really did kick off his career in many
Yeah,
ways. And
yeah.
your mom also, I remember when she did Coastal Disturbances at the
right.
Circle in the Square
That's
Theater.
right, yeah.
To me, as a fan of them, it's like a nice, beautiful sort of
Thanks.
family legacy. Did they ever talk about Broadway? Did your dad ever talk about being on Broadway?
He has a very, his life is so interesting, and he has so many pockets of, wisdom and gems to share. He's talked about Broadway a little bit, but I think one thing I love about my parents is that they take each project very seriously. Everything they work on, they take very seriously. They've definitely talked to me about how seminal those moments were for them in their personal life.
Sure.
Living in New York City, the experience of being in theater and being on Broadway internally, I think, is a very profound experience for an actor. So those are my memories of them talking about it.
Another blockbuster Broadway opening to tell you about. Steve Carell making his Broadway debut, playing the title role in the revival of Uncle Vanya. We caught up with the stars at the opening.
Chekhov is, I think, a pretty good playwright. I've heard a few good things about him, so I figured I might try to give that a shot. It's a tricky thing to entice people to see, because I think there's a preconceived notion that it'll be dark and brooding and foreboding, and it is that at times, but it's not all that. And I think that's what I hope people take away, is that there's light and darkness within this production.
This play is something that makes more sense as the older I get. And as most Chekhov, to me, makes more sense as I get older. But I think that this one is really funny and sad, and it's just about the people trying to everyone's just doing their best.
Put on the green light, because Broadway shows don't get much bigger or flashier than this. Here's another massive show that just opened on Broadway. It's A Great Gatsby, the amazing and extravagant new Broadway musical based on F. Scott Fitzgerald's iconic novel. We hit the red carpet with the stars opening night.
It's insane. Extremely grateful, and I think the gratitude is bubbling with the excitement of tonight, and I feel overwhelmed in the best way. Like, I feel like I could just float away and I'd be fine with that.
I think my favorite thing about him, at least playing him, is sort of finding how and when he lets loose the things that he's been hiding. So he's always very covered, he's very restrained at all times, and there are moments where he sort of lets down his guard, and those are always really exciting.
As an actor, doing the best to feel comfortable in my own body so that I can give honor to Daisy in that way, because she's not the most likable character, but it's good as an actor and as a actor who loves psychology of things to be able to play the full spectrum of humanness.
We're on the road to the Tonys, the big show, now just weeks away. Here's the Best Musical Revival category. Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club. Gutenberg. Merrily We Roll Along. The Who's Tommy. And in Best Play Revival, Appropriate. In Enemy of the People. Hurley Victorious, a non-Confederate romp through the cotton patch. Thanks so much for staying with us for this latest episode of The Broadway Show. So glad you're here. Another big-time Broadway opening to tell you about. Patriot celebrating opening night. The play tells the story of Vladimir Putin's rise to power after the collapse of the Soviet Union.
It is kind of like a modern Shakespeare play in some ways. It's epic in size, full of nuance, full of history, full of humor. I think it's an interesting way to experience being an American as well, by watching these patriots from another country argue about the way they think their country should be run and the differences of opinion, but still each of them think of themselves as patriots.
Here's Beth Stevens with another edition of Building Broadway.
The last time we saw you on Broadway was Ink, about Rupert Murdoch. You're back on Broadway with real-life people.
Yeah.
And powerful people this time.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I mean, of course, people will see it and say, oh, Vladimir Putin on stage on Broadway, what does that mean? But the play really began with this other character, Boris Berezovsky, that Michael Stuhlbarg plays, and Peter Morgan came to me. I didn't really know Peter beforehand, but obviously only The Crown and Frost Nixon and all these great shows he'd done. And he said, I think there's a play here, I'd love it to see it at the Almeida, I don't quite know what it is. And it was very much about Boris, and that was very much what Peter was interested in. And about Putin and Putin's rise, but really about like the 90s in Russia. What I sort of underestimated when I was showing it to my team was how much people were fascinated by, the history of Russia, and particularly Russia in the 90s and after the fall of the Soviet Union. And then suddenly the Ukraine war happened, and this play that had been really fascinating became urgent.
And I think that audiences definitely know or think they know about Putin, but they might not know as much about Berezovsky. So how do you explain who that is to audiences?
So he's the kingmaker. He's the man who made the man, I guess. He's the man who was a sort of the first super oligarch that came out of Russia, brilliant mathematician, sort of maverick, Jewish in a country where Jews couldn't hold power. He plucked Putin up and didn't really see what Putin was going to become, but thought Putin could become his puppet in some sense. And one of the things the play is interested in is, how do we feel about businessmen being our leaders? At the heart, there's Berezovsky, who wants to see a massive liberation of all the restrictions that the Soviet Union had under it, and really open up Russia to a totally free market experience. And then you have Putin, who wants to return Russia to its sort of former glory and assert itself as a superpower. Yeah, it sort of asks, what is it to love your country, and how do you express that?
It's award season for the stars of the stage. The Tonys now just weeks away, but we're also excited to talk about the future of Broadway. The stars of tomorrow, the Jimmy Awards. The Jimmy Awards is a huge and amazing event that happens in New York City every year, featuring the absolute best of the best musical theater talents from high schools all across America. Now on the lead up to the Jimmys, the Broadway show shines a spotlight on the students and the cities and the impact these competitions and awards have on those amazing teens.
I'm Thomas Schumacher, and I'm Chief Creative Officer of Disney Theatrical. The most extraordinary thing about the Jimmy Awards is that although they happen in New York City, the reality is there are all these individual awards around the country. These kids compete in their regions, and then from those regions come here. The thing about the Jimmy Awards is they're a lens into the future, right? You're seeing these kids who love this stuff. There's something fun about seeing this. It's not always just the professional angle. It's just the visibility for people who have a joy and a commitment, this passion they have for doing it. As the Jimmy Awards have progressed, the community has really risen around it. And now it's a huge thing within the community.
Feed Me Seymour, it's maybe the best off-Broadway show of all time. We're talking about Little Shop of Horrors. We have an exclusive musical performance from one of the current stars of Little Shop, Jinx Monsoon.
A matchbox of a room, a fence of real chain link, a grill out on the patio, disposal in the sink, a washer and a dryer and an ironing machine, in a tract house that we share somewhere that's green.
Hello, chickens. Yes, it's me, your own beloved Robert Petkoff, playing Harold Ziedler here in the North American tour of Moulin Rouge, the musical. It is opening night here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm at the Tanger Center for the Performing Arts.
Harold's makeup needs to look like it's been on for hours and is sort of coming off. Yes, it's me, your own beloved Harold Ziedler.
Come right here. Here comes Keats. He's getting ready to go on for his pre-show. Keats, what's it like on an opening night here in Greensboro?
Oh, it's really exciting to see the audience for the first time and see what the vibe of the city is like. You have to figure out, are they a loud audience? Are they a quieter audience? You have to work harder to get them involved with you. But always a good time.
We have a countdown clock for the pre-show. This is how much time left before the show actually begins. I'm here with Elise. She is about to go out. She is one of our sword swallowers. Elise, is there a particular technique to swallowing a sword?
Just a prayer and a thought and a healthy backbend.
Thank you so much for joining us backstage for our opening night here in Greensboro. And I look forward to seeing you all in St. Louis, April 30th through May 12th. Come check it out.
And that's going to do it for us. But for tickets, or if you want to check out extended cuts of all these interviews, head over to Broadway.com. I'm Tamsin Fidel, and this is The Broadway Show.